So here I am, Saturday night. Zach says, hey, well, I don't want to go fishing today. I want to go fishing tomorrow. So I spend some time putting some tackle together, and I realized I have some Bobby Garland baby shad baits I wanted to try down at the pond. And lo and behold, I have no jigs to fish them on. So here we are kind of doing an emergency pour. This is going to be pouring some minnow heads, 64th ounce and 32nd ounce, on a number 2 hook. These baby shad baits from Bobby Garland. They're a little bit of an upgrade in size from the itty bitty swimmers that I really like down there for panfish, but I want to go, tomorrow's going to be a management day. We're going to see if we can get some bass out and remove some more management fish tomorrow. Things have been really, really slow locally, and from what I'm hearing down in Delaware for bass. So we're going to see what we can't do with these. So it's going to be a trial run of a different size bait. Could try to kind of target a certain size of bass. You know, we manage everything under 13 inches comes out of that pond because we're managing it for a trophy panfish waterway. And these baits I'm hoping will specifically target those smaller bass. You know, keep the panfish off of it. We're liable to get some crappie on these, but I'm waiting right now for this melter to heat up and get some lead going, and we'll start pouring. So first thing we're gonna do here is probably smoke the mold. Just so the pores come out, because I really haven't heated it up at all. So I'm just gonna smoke these 2 that I'm doing. Just like that. And then these number 2 hooks will go. We're going to set these in place. And we're going to heat those hooks up with the mold. So I'm going to fill this mold up because it really has not had time to warm up. So I'm going to fill all the cavities up except the 2 that I have hooks in, just to heat the mold up a little bit. And they actually didn't pour too bad. I'm just going to dump them right back in. And pour these 2. That's a bad hook. And what was bad, this is the bad one right here. But what was bad about it, if you look at these, oops, try to get these as straight as I can without having a reference line. If you look at the distance here, the height of this to the eyelet to the hook shank, they're right. They're the good ones. So I take out one that was bad and compare it. What it did, when I knew right away it wasn't right, is it didn't fit in the mold right. The eyelet is short from here to here. And you can see how much shorter that is. It won't fit in the mold. So, reject. Slow process when you only do one size at a time, one jig at a time for a size. Nice if I could crank out about a dozen of these or so at a time, but not tonight. Don't need a whole bunch of them. Just want to make sure that this is going to work. The jigs that we just made, 32nd ounce here, 48th ounce here, and this one is also a 32nd ounce. Now I wanted to show why I went with a larger hook, a size 2 hook, for these jig heads that I'm making and why I'm fishing them. Typically a 32nd ounce jig this size either comes with a size 6, which is this size here, or a size 4. I molded mine both in the 32nd and the 48th ounce size in a size 2 hook. And that reason being because these Bobby Garlands that I'm fishing, the baby shads, it's a 2-inch bait, but they are a bulky bait. They have a relatively thick body, and they're much thicker than, they're almost the thickness of a twister tail, the old Mr. Twister tails. But here was always my issue. So if you take a standard 32nd ounce jig head and you put them on that, and I'm just gonna put that on as straight as I possibly can. You know, that's pretty much where that hook will come out. So on a 2-inch bait, you've got from here back, which is, what are we going to say, 1.5 inches? You know, well over half the size of the bait that a fish can come up and grab and completely miss getting that hook in its mouth. Okay. Now if you take that same bait with the same weight hook and you put that on a size 2 hook, now all of a sudden the surprise aspect of that same bait is not only back farther in the body, now we're 3/4, well, I'd say maybe half the way, you're 1 inch back. You know, they can still grab a hold of this, but the chances of them coming out grabbing that hook are pretty good, and the gap distance here is greater on a 2 than it is that size 4 hook. So we moved it, the point from being up here, you know, straight up here, and then also have moved it, if I can do this, also there's your difference in the size hooks. So you're going from this gap to this gap, and from this hook point to this hook point, you moved everything back. Now that particular one there, for me, I would readjust that because my OCD cannot take that little hump in that bait. For that thing to hang natural is going to be like that. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully these will work. And like I said, my target for this is largemouth bass, management size bass, but a nice, well, even a small crappie. A small crappie will have no problems getting that in its mouth. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start down here in this corner of the pond, a little shaded from the wind here today. And I am not liking the color of this water. This water's been this heavy coffee color now for quite a few weeks. I was kind of hoping that it would clear up by now. I'm going to start throwing these little 1.25 inch swim baits. See what happens with them. And depending what they do, I'm going to move up to something a little bit bigger. I find this corner interesting. I fished this corner for years and never ever caught a fish out of it. And only in the last 2 years that I've been fishing over here have I actually caught anything. And I've had some pretty nice days with some nice fish out of here. So what I've done here is I moved up to a 2-inch bait from that 1.25 inch. We'll see what that does. Oh, watch that fence there. That fence will get you every time. Oh, you jumping ahead of me, are you? I see how you are. See this guy here? He's jumping spots on me. He knows I'm going to work up through there. No respect. Small man fishing, jumping ahead of the old man. I'm gonna catch a fish out in front of him, you watch. Boy, if I catch one in here with this rod doing this, I'm gonna have a heck of a problem. Uh-oh. Whew. This is why. Yeah, you just wait. This is why we put this tree in here. Get in there and dabble a bait in between those branches. Of course, I should probably have a weed guard on there. Take that in there and we'll just drop it right in between those branches. Wait for the thump. Just make sure you go straight up and straight down. Look at small man fishing standing here. He's waiting. He knows. He knows what's going to happen here. Zach, I don't think they're in here yet. Just don't think so. Well, I think this weather hasn't messed up. Well, I think if we get a couple warm days, I can promise you, you get somebody that can dabble this tree in between those branches, they're going to have a field day of fishing there.